Hi guys, it's EGC here. So today I'm here with another D-standard deck profile, and this time I'll be covering Granfia. So this deck, I tried a few builds. I tried different ways I can make this to work, and uh, at least this is the formula that I think works for me um, in the best way, probably. There are another ways that I think will work for me, but it's something that already like being developed, so I want to try something new. I want to try something different, and here is this build. So I have been playtesting for quite a bit of time, and so far I'm quite happy with it, and I'm facing decks mainly the Red Soldier that is so easy to generate hitting points that can threat me instead of like maybe like some other multiple attack decks. They will be a lot more fierce in another way, but they usually take a little bit of time to set up. But for Red Soldier, they will be hitting me like very early, so I get to prepare on how I manage my resources, and I do get some back and forth, so I think it's quite good to actually show you guys my build. And let's go with the right deck first, which mainly is just the Granfia ones. I see people trying the Roroa build because it's also generating plant tokens, but my question is, if you are using the Roroa right line, which is from grade 0 to 2, so that you get 1 plant token and then 2 plant tokens, right? But then this already can give you 1 plant token and a free ride without using any cards from your hand. And then if you do have the orange, you actually get a total of 3 tokens and a unit instead of just 2 tokens, right? So compared to that, if you are planning to use Roroa right line, what you need to do is actually to put in Redolina to apply the early pressure, and that's where you will start seeing Roroa right line to be worth. But for this build, I'm not looking for that part, so I'm using the Granfia right line, trying to save myself some resources, and then use the minimal resources to generate the highest attack points that I can get. So that's why I'm still using the Granfia right line, and so far it's doing me great. Not going to lie. Okay, main deck. 3 more Granfia, because we do need to soul blast a lot. We always want high power, so personal right is definitely key to this deck if you want to succeed, which you will see me using another card to actually get that to happen if you don't know what that is. If you do know, then it's kind of a little bit of spoiler alerts, but that's there. You will see this in this video anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So also let's talk about Granfia's skill. First one is a active skill to Soul Blast 1 and then put all your plant tokens, on the field as gauge, and then you place a Noblest Rose token behind your Vanguard, basically. That's the only thing you do with the tokens, and whenever you, as long as you have this card, whenever you call any extra tokens, they will just directly become gauges and stock in here. And the more gauges you have, the more 5k you get for your rose token. So each plant token will give you 5k, so just 1 will become a 10k, 2 will become 15k because space is 5k as well, so that will also be counted when you boost, right? So that generates the token, and then the token basically just keeps stocking, and whenever you need to retire some stuff, you probably can just remove the gauges, and which is leading to the second skill of your Granfia, which is after this unit's attacks. Okay, so let me take it easier for if people do want to read. So yeah, if this battle unit battle ends on a Vanguard circle, and then you choose 1 or more of your rose token and your plant gauges up to 5 to the drop zone. By doing that, you choose 1 of your regard, and for each cost that you drop. So for example, if you just drop two tokens, then that's 2, right? If you include this rose token, it will be free. But of course, if you have more, then that's another thing. And per card that you put, that you're trying to put to drop, that unit will get plus 5k that you selected. And if you put 3 or more, you can stand that unit. So it's a regard restander. So you basically, what you want to do is you want to keep stocking all these plant tokens as your gauge under here, and then because you need to at least retire free to basically give 15k to something, withstand it so that they can attack again, and the max you can do is 5. And make sure you try to keep your rose token alive to keep stocking the gauges again. If not, you will need to Soul Blast 1 and call that rose token back again, which will be sometime troublesome, but the deck is managed to do all these things. But usually once you call your rose token there, it shouldn't be gone unless you get targeted by something that to retire, to bind, lock, whatever. Yeah, and just a little side Q&A, not sure if it actually like affects people only playing standard, that if you get call restrictions, for example, if there is a card telling you that say you are being affected by that player saying that you cannot call any units onto your rigor circle or onto the field, or just basically say you can't call anything to your you can't call anything, just say that to make it less complicated. And if you have a card that don't need to be on place that can help you generate plant tokens, you still can't add that to your gauge. So that's something that you do need to know, because it's like instead of the plant token being called, it gets socketed as a gauge, but that action is still involving the call aspect. So if you're trying to call something that you cannot, you still can't get the gauge. That's something that I think I just put it there. If someone that needs to have a little bit knowledge on this, you will know, because who knows, later maybe even for Stoichia we will get a more mega colony like units that blocking people calling stuff, maybe. So you check back this video, then you will know what's happening, right? So explain about Granfia. Now let's talk about the units that I want to restand, which is my sword stack and my axe beetle. So these are the cards that when they first release, I really want to utilize them. They are very simple. As long as you have the other one, so basically they are partners, then they both get a 10k. Just that simple, nothing else. So if you only have one copy, it's a 30k attacker. But after playtesting with the Prison Dragon build, what I feel lacking is the attack power, right? And because you need to restand the regard with Granfia's skill, now with Prison Dragon is only a 5k. If you want it to be threatening, you usually put a crit on it, and that means you need to boost with an 8k to become 13k to just get blocked by 5k, and then you restand it. It's only a 20k because you choose to add a crit instead of the 10k, and it's still like a 10k guard, 15k guard, so it's not that scary. But with these, first, if you get the partners, so if you get both of them on the field, they don't need to be all on the front row sometimes, because sometimes you do want to put your orange in front so that you can actually get to call an extra plant token if you are lacking one to get a total of 3 to restand your regard, right? Sometimes that happens. This can still be a 23k one swing, and then you restand it to become 38, right? As long as you have a partner. And even if you don't have it, it's still a 30k attacker that is already Prison Dragon plus crit plus grade 1 boost, and then you restand it to become 28k, right? just assuming you drop 3 at most times. Unless you do 5, then that's plus 25k, that's 38, that's different, right? And still, 28 is way better than 20. Because with 28, your opponents cannot just give you a 15k card unless they get a defensive trigger, right? So, number-wise, it hits harder. It hits harder. The other method is to use the Flower Girl grade 3 from, I think is set 6 or 7, somewhere like that. That allows you to counterblast Soul Blast 1, look at 3, drop 3, and then call one that is below your Vanguard grades. I think that's something like that. I don't have the unit's name in my mind yet, but if you do want to know, comments down below, let me know, then I will just put the name there, make it easier. That is another way, because that card, you get to ditch cards to your drop zone to make it thicker so that you can use your Nectar of Sensation or Temptation. Again, I kind of forget the name because I usually just look at the Japanese names. So I just got Nectar that for 5 drop zone cards you have, each get one of your unit 5k plus, and if you have 15 or more cards in your drop, it get +1 crit. So by increasing your drop, you also make a 13k attacker. That kind of work similar to this, but that also gives you another unit, and that card also is a good target for Nectar, so you can just swing for bigger. But what I'm aiming for is something kind of beyond that, because that card can bring something back, but usually you will be calling something that is a 13 or a 10, right? So both of them will be like 13 10, 13 13, which is basically like you have only 2 of these, right? The good thing is, if you are looking for the Nectar build, then that's your options, but I'm not. I'm not planning to increase my drop very much so that I can kind of secure my trigger stay in my deck. At the same time, I am not going to plan for this kind of a longer period of games. What I want to is, when I get to grade 3, I get one of each out, both being 23k. If my opponent is grade 2, even better. If they are grade 3, I'm still hitting good enough to bait a lot of the shields and just bash them in 2 turns. That's my ultimate goal. So that's why I'm using this pair, and they have been proven quite threatening. Especially if I am going first, because there are ways to get them out. The kind of weak point of these two is you have to have one of each on the field to get that to happen. Now, if you don't have to worry about searching the other part out, then it will be a lot easier. By seeing the rest of the content of the deck, you'll know it's quite easy. But there are chances that I only play like 2 of the same copy, but that is still fine, because my goal is to have something that hit hard, hit big, and they are actually doing this job even when I'm not triggering, because of the rolls, and also because of my trigger lineup, which you will see in a bit. Next, I'm running 4 of the orange. Orange is a must in the deck because this card is your early game pressure applier, is your main plan token generator, basically just that. And what I usually do is, when I have on my grade 2, right, and then I will have a plan token, I call an orange, I get a plan token, and then when my battle phase starts, which will activate the second skill, you call another plan token. Then I can do 3 attacks just by having an orange and being able to ride to grade 2. Just that easy. And then a turn later, then I will go into my rows. Then I can immediately get 3 tokens out for the withstanding effects while still being able to keep my rows in the back row, and then for more uses, right? And then the stat. And orange, you can just keep calling it again and again to keep generating you the plant tokens for free. Yeah, so orange is definitely very important in this deck, and my grade 2 strategy usually put enough pressure to my opponents. As long as I push them to like 3 damage or something, then these 2 attacks will be a lot more scarier, that because you will have a big number that boosting your Vanguard. Because even just this is a 33k, and if you have more, then that's another story, right? But if 33k is already hard to get early games, and then you'll be standing to generate another beater that is close to 33k, so yeah. And even if you just you're standing in orange, it's still like a 25k at least. So so far this lineup is actually doing me quite good, and orange is always something that gives me hope, basically. And then this flower girl, for extra soul charge if I need, I do have ways to keep reusing her, so that I can also empty my soul and then soul charge 2 back, then I can keep reusing my other resources to do whatever that I need to do. And then free DNF, she's just a good card that is being a 13k support, because your Rose is a grade 0, so you just need to call her at the back. She is a 13k booster, and whenever you call her from hand, you kind of just want to bring a unit back that is basically anything you want, which usually will be these, unless you really need extra soul, then you can go for that, but I usually go for these, so that I can just like ditching Prison Dragon, I can ditch these cards for my riot deck cost early game, and then fish them back with the end. Then, or when I do have them on the field and they are gone, except being bind or lock, I can use DM to bring them back from the drop zone to get them paired up again and hit hard again. And then next I am using mushrooms. Mushrooms is only a 6k, but I usually don't have this card stay long on the field. Usually I just call it, use the skill, put it in soul, call 2 plant tokens, and then when I have a Granfia Graveyard High Vanguard, I can choose another card to get plus 5k, which will usually be these. And if you get the pair and you get the mushroom, they are already 28k by themselves, so it's something that already equals to their normal base plus 3 tokens from the gauge to boost, and then you, on top of that, you can add 15k to it to make it 43. So you can see the numbers can get very big, and we can get to do 4 attacks, which is hopefully something that is more scary than the 3 big Solar punches. And the number separation is actually making opponents very hard to guard if they are already on like 3 to 4 damage. These are the attacks that will at least drain them 2 to 3 cards, and that's how I keep increasing the hand size differences, like the advantage on my side, because all my cards, they can be gone and then I just bring them back, and when they are back, they will generate values, and making you as an opponent will feel hard to just not looking at them, because they will always do stuff that makes you annoying, or at least hit you hard, so that you just need to keep dropping cards. And as I always do, as long as I can make you drop cards, that's how I can keep like keeping this flow and keep bashing you until you have no resources. So Mushroom is very important, and it's also a soul charge card, but again it's only a 6k, so if you're boosting it with an orange it's only 16. So do be careful on that, because sometimes I usually just put it in soul so I don't look at the power, but then I realize it's 6k and that will highly change the guard value required. But if you're boosting these, then it doesn't matter. And then one pumpkin. Pumpkin is also another card that was soul charge, but then it's an important card to help you generate plant tokens, and it's a active skill. It's not on play skill, so as long as your discard is kind of like the orange, you can keep generating plant tokens, but you do need to take care of the soul, which is why I'm using this flower girl just in case. But I only have room for one, which you can feel free to change this slot to something else only at the end if you want to, but I just want to have a backup plan that can help me, because all my cards I don't mind them to go to the drop zone, and I have ways to get them back up on the field as long as they are in the drop zone, right? So that's something that you can be like aware. And then just for PG, if you want to use the order PG, feel free, but to me it doesn't matter. I don't see triple drive being a big threat to me for now, but if you are facing a lot of Great Force, if you're facing like Jet, if you're facing like Messiah, which is coming out in a bit, then you can just chuck one in. It really doesn't matter which PGs you want to use, or the ratio 3-1 or 4-0 is really up to you. That's all. And then Holy Grail. This Grail allows you to personalize. It's something that can cover the power that I don't have sometimes with these, with my pair, because again sometimes I will only be able to call one of them or 2 copies of the same one, so I do need personalize to pump the power, and power is really key in this deck. Not only the side being hitting bigger, your Vanguard will also need to hit big, so the opponent will have to give you a PG, have to give you an over trigger, have to give you multiple cards to, or even just take it, right? Most times my Vanguard attack will just not get blocked, and that's where I apply the damage, push in, and use these guys to just apply even more pressure. That you still need to give you 2 more cards, you still need to give me 3 more cards, you still need to give me the PG, and one day you'll run out, right? And then this upgraded Soldier order, Great One order that allows you to Soul Last 1 or the top 3 of your deck, put 1 to drop, shuffle your deck, and then call 1 back, which is very important because we don't have any ways to actually fish them to the drop zone or any ways to search them as of now. So I'm using this card to actually find stuff, or sometimes even finding the orange so that I can immediately get enough plant tokens, mushrooms, so that I can just fill that soul back in and then get 2 plant tokens and call this card to actually soul charge. So there's a lot of ways, a lot of things that I can do with this order, but the main thing is to search these ones so that I can get the pair a lot easier. And that's basically everything except the triggers. So order cards I'm not using a lot. When I first image drafting this deck, I was using like 6 orders or so, not including the PG placeholder. But I think it's a little bit too much, and I rather use cards to generate more values like the end, so that I can also bring back cards while not using soul, while still having a unit on the field, and also being valuable. 30 booster, boosting orange will be already 23k. That's already good enough to adjust your power line, to dodge the effect draw triggers because they are 10k shield. So your opponents will need to at least give you a 15k shield. That's already changing a lot of things, right? And triggers. Now, first, the Zoiki Open Trigger, I do see people prefer the generic ones, because if you are withstanding a unit, you still have 2 attacks. If they are both that hard to guard, that's probably win you games, but I still prefer to see the crit there. And being able to heal, being able to front is very important. I'm still using the Zoiki one, but if you do want to try out the generic one, feel free to. But I think this one fits the deck idea a little bit more. And then the sewing crit, because souls is very important. Don't need to keep repeating. I think I said enough about having enough soul. 3 more crits, 4 fronts, the trying to get fronts, and then 4 heals. Now, I was thinking to use draws instead of fronts, but then the idea of having this deck is to bash my opponents early. Even though draw is good to help you easier to find your resources if you're lucky, but front as a trinity shield I think is more important and really saving my life, especially when I need to guard for early time while I don't need to use a lot of counterblast. Then I can actually save room to take damage while I am on like a less damage count. So I think front is actually quite important here. Heal, if you do want to use effect heals, feel free to, but I don't think this deck needed. Yeah, and that's why I am using front instead of draw. Tanking shield is just not good enough, and since I'm using my good insects pairs, so a front trigger will, while they both on the field, will just simply pump them to 33k each, and they're just hard to guard. And one of the deck idea that I have with this is to basically get prepared for the moment that I have the worst luck, because I have faced so much bad luck, and especially when using a prison dragon, you swing for 13, you swing to a 20 while you don't have any triggers, or maybe if you stock a lot of plant tokens, you pump it to 30k. Yeah, 30k is still not that threatening if you ask me. Not saying the prison dragon build is completely bad, but it is good when your luck is good. It will be pretty bad when you don't have the luck, because I really just like keep drive checking and I just open empty, and I just want to make myself prepared for this kind of situation. That's why I use these insect pairs. So worst case, if I have only one type of them, they can still be 1328 without any triggers. If I get them both, even if I don't hit into any triggers, they are still kind of like getting buffed by front. Both get 10Ks, and then you can still do a 23 and then 33 Vanguard attacks, and then 23 again and 38. That is without triggers. So what I'm planning for is, if I don't get triggers, I hit you as hard. If I get triggers, you will get into even more trouble. So you want me to be in bad luck? During my bad luck moment, I am still going to hit you hard. That's the basically game plan, game idea, and then this deck is born. And again, I'm very happy with this build, and especially being able to feature my insect pairs, because I do like them. I do even want to put them in my premium builds, which I do need time to actually make them to work and think how to do it. I probably will try to put them into a dragon tree build as well, but I don't have any like complete ideas yet. When I have, you'll definitely see it. Yeah, so that's basically the deck profile. As usual, if you have any questions, any cards that you think might work, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. Then we can communicate more. Like this video if you like this build, or if you especially like this insect pairs. Subscribe to my channel for more deck profiles, unboxings, deck fights. I will try to record deck fights with this build if I have the time to meet my friends to do some fight videos recording. Then you will see it in action and see how it works basically. Yeah, so I think that's it for this deck profile and what I want to say. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.